Welcome to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh Toor. आप सबनूं प्यार भरी सत श्री अकाल, नमस्कार, आदाब and shalom. First of all, please feel free to send me an email at hstoor@gmail.com. Whatever you want to share, we are going through a very exciting time as far as the news is concerned. But at the same time, we have to be very careful about what we say, what we state, because a lot of misinformation and disinformation is going around regarding the oath of the new president. There is something which I want to share with you, my personal experience, which I have seen around, and that is I saw, some of the posting done by our own people, by some of the Sikhs, some of the non-Sikhs, and on some of those social media sites, where you have these groups on WhatsApp, or you have this Facebook, you have messages coming in on Instagram, Snapchat, and you name it basically, and Blue Sky also, which is the new social media app started by the former founder of Twitter, which is now X. What surprised me was that some of the people, especially one or two Sikh gentlemen, I will still call them gentlemen because to me, using unparliamentary language is not something which I am used to and I want to use. But they have used it even against me. They were talking about, that, okay, the Trump is going to be here, he will do X, he will do Y, he will do Z. Interesting thing is when they had the pen and the power, they could not deliver the right stuff what they took the oath for the office, whatever office they were holding. So here is these people, these individuals who just cannot manage a small thing, and they are trying to praise incoming president for his dictatorial stuff, which is to me it is like what you guys are talking about if you really look at it. And this is something shocked me in the sense that, not really shocked me, I was not surprised. I should rather say that I think I'm stupid to expect something from these people which will make more sense. So it's a fault on my part. Anyway, so now moving into, yes, we know Trump took the oath, he signed so many executive orders. The aim is not about if those executive orders are right or wrong or will succeed. The aim is just to say, sort of like, bravo, I did it. If 10 executive orders were signed by the previous outgoing president or somebody, any other president before him, I will sign 50 or 60 or maybe 100 because I want to set a record. It doesn't matter whether that record will ultimately sustain or not. So that when we look at it from that perspective, it is surprising that how the next 4 years are going to be, if I may say so. We are going to have a really exciting time as far as the news media is concerned if we report properly and fairly. So now talking about reporting properly and fairly, on his way out, there were some executive orders, some pardons, which the outgoing President Joe Biden did it. I personally did not like it. The reason I will share with you why I was not in favor of those pardons. I personally believe that what should have been done, with the people like Liz Cheney, Mark Milley, and some of these other people who actually took a stand against Trump, he had been saying, I will be their retribution, right? So I would have loved him to go after these people and lose the case one after another in the court, even though it will not make any difference to him because he lost the cases previously also in the court, but it didn't make any difference to him. He still is like, oh, I won this, because he does not accept two things at all. Number one, that he lost something. Number two, he wants to create a fear in the minds of the people. And that is something which actually he strives on, creating the fear and creating the fear among the people and then fishing on that fear. And that is him. And of course, like he said that he will be dictator on day one. You can see some of the things which he has already done. Yeah, Republicans are happy about it because they captured all three branches of the government. Not only that, they already control the Supreme Court. So now, literally, basically, we have this, even though, they only talk about trifecta, which is the House, Senate, and the executive branch president, but I will include Supreme Court also in it. Because if we really look at it, Supreme Court has given the judgments based on what actually the Republicans and the Trumps wanted, not based. I personally don't believe that those judgments were based on logic and actual the Constitution. And one of them was, of course, the Roe versus Wade turnover from 1972 onward. Even though at that time the Supreme Court had majority Republicans, but still they granted this right to abortion, which was taken away, which Trump promised that he will, and it happened. And I think in going into that with the same attitude, now he has done another executive order, which is, birthright citizenship, which means a person, a undocumented person, they use the term illegal, I don't. A undocumented couple, they have a kid. The kid actually has a birthright citizenship, which means if the kid is born to the parent, even if they do not have any document at all, he is automatically a US citizen. Okay? Now he has signed an executive order to rescind that okay, we're not going to grant that status automatically, which is already got challenged. Now, interesting thing is, his own two kids will be considered not US citizens, including the one from Melania, because she was not American citizen at that time. Forget about being American citizen. She was literally undocumented when Trump got her, the President Trump got her documents, made her status as documented or legal, like they say. And then, she became the citizen, and then she got her parents, her family over here. Nobody's talking about it. And I honestly, I'm really not happy with the Democrats when it comes down to that, because they don't talk about it. It's not a question that you are doing something or saying something which is not right. If they can say that the immigrants and all these undocumented people who are coming in, they are the rapists and murderers, which includes you and me and majority of the people who are watching this show, why you are accepting it? Because we actually happen to be that bloc which actually pays more taxes into the US Treasury than any other group, the Asians. And still we are taking all this idiocy, accepting it, and then laughing at it, and then still supporting him. I have no objection anybody being a Republican or independent. Independent, I already have talked about why, but for God's sake, pay attention, look at it. You want to support a Republican? Yeah, you can support every other Republican except those candidates who even don't like you. Let's take a break. After the break, I will be right back. Welcome back to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh Toor. We were talking about this immigration, executive order which he issued. And also, not only that, I'm talking about, let me put it down this way, okay? I understand that to win the election, you have to have your own agenda, your own views and everything. And after you get elected, you become actually the president of everybody in America, whether somebody likes you or doesn't like you. If somebody asked me today, who is your president? Of course, it is Donald Trump. You know? But no, there is this divide which he has created. This divide actually was happening for some time. It is not that it happened overnight. It has been happening for some time now. This divide between the communities, between the whites, which is still a majority of US, and non-whites. That line is actually being solidified, and I personally believe that some of the actions he is taking, he actually may end up setting up the whole system, the US system, whether it is the court system, the US Congress or US Senate, in a way where when his term is over, he may try to use the army to implement the martial law so that he can stay president for life. You know, I still have the hope that there are institutions, there are, well, I don't know whether I can say that or not, but I'm still going to say, even though that has also been compromised, the laws of the land, I feel like that also is compromised, and the Supreme Court played a major role in compromising that. I think two people who are more responsible for the situation where we are today, forget about Kamala Harris, forget about Joe Biden, forget about Democrats, talk about America, where America is today and where it will be tomorrow. Mitch McConnell, when he refused to impeach Donald Trump after January 6 events, and then the Supreme Court, which actually gave a blanket check that the president can do whatever he or she wants while in authority. Those two decisions actually are the decisions which actually made today's Trump, which he is like, he just doesn't care. The person who has declared so many bankruptcies, the person who has lied so much, the person who actually defrauded the veterans, defrauded the students, defrauded the banks, defrauded, you name it, and he got away with everything. And he got away by instilling that fear. And those people who are actually, flocking to him, including the businessmen, they have their own interest. They have, if somebody tells me they have American interest at their heart, I don't believe it. Because if you have American interest at heart, then you will care about, paying your fair share of the taxes, staying within the laws. If the law is not something which you want, the Congress is always there to look at it and enact the law, even though sometimes Congress is slow based on social media and everything is so fast, the evolution is so fast that some of the people even don't understand that. But same time, the laws have been changed to cope and bring them to the at par with the current situation, except of course, Roe versus Wade, and few more, including to not to prosecute the president, even though the New York State judge, when he penalized him without giving him any, penalty, not even a single dollar as a fine, but held him the decision to hold him, guilty in all those 34 counts. Yeah, he is the first felon president, no doubt about it, but he doesn't care. For him, it doesn't matter. He actually may end up damaging U.S. interests more in the long run, whether those are domestic or internationally. Domestically, what could happen? Let us take a look. He just pardoned those 1,500 plus people from January 6 who attacked the Capitol. Interesting thing is, all those congressmen, and I'm talking about Republican, like I said, forget about Democrats and, which everybody can say that, oh, they are opposition party, they are going to talk about it. Republican congressmen, Republican senators, including Josh Hawley, all right, they were running for their life from these January 6 people who attacked the Capitol. They literally were trying to save their own skin because they were afraid that if we got caught, we will get lynched. And those orders actually came from Donald Trump. Even those orders came in a, like they say, they were shrouded in a language, but that's why they attacked. That's why they set up a, that guillotine to hang the vice president in front of the Capitol. It's not that it happened just all of a sudden that magically that, the whole thing appeared, the wood, the rope and everything to set it up. It means it was pre-planned. Okay? So that itself is, I think, one of the biggest damage to the law and order which this country always boasted about. And on the part of Joe Biden, when he pardoned his family and others, he also played into it. Whether anybody else agrees or not, I personally, even though I still appreciate what he has done, I still love him for all his 50 years of public service. I still respect him a lot. But this is where I don't agree with what he did, because I actually wanted, sometime you have to let the things get exposed. Okay? If they haven't done anything wrong, which I believe they didn't, including Liz Cheney and Mark Milley, who was the former chief of staff and commander-in-chief of the army into the White House, they should have let the incoming president, the current president, Donald Trump, to go after them and fight the cases in the court and expose the courts also, where the judges who are appointed, even though, the Chief Justice Roberts says that we are not Democrat or Republican judges, we are the judges. But when you look at the decision, they don't appear like that, especially Judge Cannon, the Supreme Court's judgments recently. They don't appear like that, that they are not Democrat or Republican. When you see something, going and happening like that, no, it's not. So those are the things which I definitely would have loved to go into the court, let the court get exposed, let these judges and justices who are serving and who are still saying, oh, I'm like, I'm not guilty, or I'm like not, we are impartial. Let it get exposed. Let the people of this country see it, which they believed that this country, everybody is equal under the law. Let's take a break. After the break, I will be right back. Welcome back to Mainstream. Let us talk about, the executive orders, which I have been talking about. Let me grab some of my notes. Retired Army General Mark Miley, who was the chairman of former, Joint Chief of Staffs, he testified on Capitol Hill on March 19, 2024. And he actually mentioned on January 6 Capitol riots. This is his statement. I want to understand white rage, and I am white. Miley said at that time about the crowd which took part at that time. So Miley's portrait was hung at Pentagon, which is done for everybody. And it was there only for a couple of hours before the orders came from the White House to take his portrait down. So, in other words, what Trump is doing, he is not, this is all garbage that I will, clean the swamp. No, he actually wants to own this swamp and then rule on that swamp, like, jungle ch sher raja hunda hai, pani ch magarmachh hunda hai. So he wants to be a magarmachh in the swamp, that I am, nobody should challenge me. And after January 6, 2021, when he wanted to have General Miley for the troops and everything, he refused. After that, Miley continued with Joe Biden. Joe Biden appointed him to some of the positions, which Trump already, told him to vacate. Not only that, Trump also, Jose Andres, the World Central Kitchen founder, who actually have been throughout the world. People, if you don't know, then you better find out about him, who has been serving the food in targeted areas wherever the food is needed, just like, the Sikh bodies, whether it's, United Sikhs, or this gentleman from England. He has his own group. They go into these areas, with the food and services, and feed the hungry. Okay, so Trump fired him also, and for no reason, except, of course, he has his own way of feeding, looking at everybody as equal. Then he also fired Brian Hook, the former special envoy for Iran, who actually had already submitted his resignation about a week ago. But no, he just wanted to say, you are fired. See, that's what I'm talking about, the mindset. That mindset is something which never came out, which he never came out from. And again, thanks to Mitch McConnell and the Supreme Court, that they solidified his mind into that kind of thinking, that kind of stuff. Now, the other thing which I want to talk to you about is another executive order, and that executive order is basically, I will talk about immigration also in the next section. But on this one, I want to talk about this. He withdrew United States from World Health Organization. If we remember, it's not that far ago. It happened in recent memory. COVID. World Health Organization was the organization which actually coordinated the vaccinations and everything throughout the world for the COVID. He didn't want that at all. So he withdrew United States from that. He also withdrew United States from Paris Climate Agreement, whatever that agreement was, because it's weird that how some of these things are looked at and they are done. If you really look at it, okay, we see the change in the weather. We see what is happening around us. Republicans have not actually embraced it, except recently they started a little bit, like Kevin McCarthy, one of the previous speaker of the House. He said that they will plant 1 trillion trees in America to combat the, climate change. So Trump actually withdrew from it, literally. And, America is not part of that agreement anymore. So with that, the green energy, the wind tunnels, and, moving over to hybrid vehicles, moving over to electric vehicles, it is in question. Even though the manufacturers of these vehicles, they want it. I'm surprised that Elon Musk, who actually owns Tesla, one of the big market, they actually have, he has not been able to influence the president, even though he spent more than $250 million to get him elected on this thing, unless he has something up his sleeves to get something sort of like a deal from the president, down the road. Okay, so that's another thing. And also now, whenever there is going to be a disaster on the United States, within the US country, within 50 states, he's going to look at which is the blue one, which is the red one. It is blue one, I'm not giving anything. Red one, I will do everything. All the red states are actually the states which gets money from the blue states. Joe Biden actually, his projects, his initiatives, they actually are pumping in more money in those red states, which is going to bring up, the more down the road, whether it's the chips, whether it is the manufacturing, whether it is, anything, including infrastructure and everything. Again, I am mad with the Democrats because they were not able to put out their points on this thing that, okay, this is what we have done and this is what we will do if we come in. And of course, when Kamala Harris said that she will not change a dime on what Joe Biden has done, I think that was the time when she lost the election. I'm sorry, I'm looking at some of the things on the screen. So, so these are the things which are actually going to make the difference. Let me bring another thing to you, okay? Flint, Michigan. It's not like ancient history. The water supply in that town of Flint by a Republican mayor of that state, and I think it was the governor also which was involved in that, they actually did not, the water supply system and the arrangement was changed. So what happened was the people were getting the water supply with more lead in the water. So because of that, the kids who were born during that time or after that, they are actually mentally deficient, to say the least. And as they will grow further and further, they will not be competitively intelligent as compared to those people, those kids who actually grew up where they had the water without lead in it. Yeah, the case went to the court. Court did not, hold that person, the mayor and the governor, accountable for that, even though they held low-level employees accountable for that, which again is, a typical of which I personally don't really like, and I don't admire that. Let's take a break. After the break, I will be right back. Welcome to the final session of the program today, and there is let's talk about immigration before that. Okay, he already has signed the executive order about the citizenship, which already got challenged, and it's not going to go anywhere except that it will go on and on into the Supreme Court. Supreme Court actually I think in 1888 or 1898 gave a judgment on that, unless this Supreme Court, which is Trump heavy, throw it out, which they can't because it is a constitutional amendment, 14th Amendment. Okay, but it is like, he can thump his chest that, see, I did it. I'm sorry, but I look at sometime, all these comparison between the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the President Donald Trump, that both are good at thumping their chest and doing something. Like Prime Minister Modi said, he had 56-inch, 56-inch ka Sina, and when China took that territory, nothing happened. So I don't know where that went. Same thing with the Trump. When it gets down, yeah, I got to say one thing about him, that he has honed his techniques to never ever admit anything. So on the southern border, he has already declared an emergency. He has shut down the app which was being used by immigrants to apply for asylum, to set up a date with the officers to meet. Trump had, in his previous administration, he actually did what we call banned the Muslims from 7 countries, and this time I don't know from how many countries he will do that. And yeah, that actually reminds me, which I want to share with you. A very close friend of mine, who happens to be a Muslim, happens to be from Pakistan, he sent me, an invite about via Facebook to go to Washington, D.C. To participate in the inauguration ceremonies. And I declined with all due respect by reminding him that you are trying to support a president who calls all immigrants as criminals, rapists, conmen, which he himself is. He is a rapist, he is a criminal, he is conman. He floated the university, saddled that, because he wanted to make money. He made money. He floated a non-profit organization for the veterans. He made money. They ended up wrapping it up. He floated airline, ended up wrapping it up. He declared 5 or 6 bankruptcies worth more than $6 billion. I mean, I don't. Honestly, I don't know what kind of businessman the people are actually looking at him, that he is a successful businessman, which I don't believe he is. Otherwise, unless somebody proves and shows to me that how they think that he definitely is a businessman. And also, yeah, Supreme Court actually ruled in 1898. After the Civil War, okay? And even though he knows that it will get challenged in the court and he may not succeed, but he still did it. you know. So these are the things which actually, then there is also another case. One of the union has filed a lawsuit on Monday over Trump's order making it easier to fire civil service employees. Schedule F protection, that's what it is called. He has done so many executive orders, even I haven't read all of them yet, but I just picked a few of them which will make a difference. And yes, another thing, there are people who are talking about, undocumented, within their language, illegal immigrants. And the funny thing is that these people within immigrants community are the people who actually themselves came like that, became, gained their legal status, became the citizens, brought their families over. Now all of a sudden for them these undocumented people are not, acceptable. Yeah, I understand that, there was an influx of them, but nobody was trying to understand the reasons. And yeah, Joe Biden was lax on implementing some of the things by the time he did. I think one of the reasons was it was like, Barack Obama, even today, during, which includes Trump's 4 years of presidency, Barack Obama is still the president who deported maximum number of undocumented people. He still could not get the Congress to pass a sensible immigration law. Joe Biden, who tried and succeeded, except when Trump picked up the phone and he said, don't do it, otherwise I will lose the election. So it was not implemented. So here we are now. Also, another interesting aspect of it is TikTok, which actually even the Supreme Court held that it should be banned, and the law by the Senate and the president, the then President Joe Biden, and the House, it was passed that TikTok is a threat to national security. It was banned on January 19. It went blank for about 7-8 hours. And the Trump said, once I take the oath, I will restore it. Even though he hasn't taken the oath yet, but the company put the TikTok back again. That shows, Trump tried to undermine the whole system, which has been here for more than 250 years, that there is only one president at a time. Yeah, he could have done on, Monday after taking the oath, but no. He wanted to prove that I am the boss and I can get the things done even when I'm not the president. Now he has given 75 days to TikTok to sell it, and probably it's going to be one of his, cahoots. It could be his family holding the share, it could be Elon Musk, or it could be a group of his own personal people. Remember, don't forget, last time when he gave the tax break to billionaires, he said, well, I gave you billions, you owe me millions. When they talk about in layman's term, oh, he's a transactional president. No. Yeah, I can understand that. But he is also a danger to the future of United States. When you actually try to destroy and cut the connections with the other countries which has played major role, being in the forefront, fighting the war which otherwise United States would have fought. The United States happened to be a lucky country that geographically it does not have any border. You have Canada, you have Mexico. Just imagine had the United States been part of a continent, either Asian or European, and then put in Trump there. Just imagine that, So now he's talking about already as of February 1, he will put up another 25% tariff on Canadian imports. Who is going to pay for that? You and me. because that tariff actually increases the cost of the goods which we buy. It doesn't affect Trump because he buys everything from his company and he can write it off. It's you and I who are the, regular member doing the services, bringing a limited check home to put the food on the table, and he's talking about he will cut the inflation. Inflation is already down. It's actually, in December, it ticked up a little bit, and with these tariffs, it's going to go further up. And I will see how he will handle that with the tariffs on. And also the other thing which needs to be watched in next, I would say, couple of months, that how this, the budget, because US is reaching its borrowing limit, that needs to be increased. We'll see that. And on the last note, I would like to say and thank, there is a Triveni media out there from, from Nepal. They honored a couple of people who do the news, bring the news to the people. And I was one of them. I really want to appreciate and I really want to thank them for that. And also those people who, especially the immigrant who were cheering for the Trump, and Muslims in particular, that he will do something good for the country and for them. Good luck. And I will wait for that time when you guys will start crying about it. Till next time, good night and good luck.